Today's video is sponsored by the subscribe button. Look how thick and juicy that thing looks. Do you not want to hit that? It's free. You can hit for free. So hit it with a little love tap and let's get on with the video. Lobbies and gentlegrams, when one door opens, another one closes. And while the casket is closing on the courthouse Karen's career after Kendrick's diabolical defamation, Drizzy destroying Super Bowl halftime show, the possibility of his mentor Lil Wayne making one of the greatest comebacks that we've witnessed in years could be right around the corner. For the past 5 years, Lil Wayne's career has been in an odd place. Wayne was Drake before Drake. He was the biggest rapper in the world, selling 1 million copies in the first week with multiple projects, #1 hit after #1 hit, and his older catalog is so big that he's currently getting more daily streams on Spotify than some of the biggest artists today, including Playboi Carti, Post Malone, Chris Brown, Beyonce, Adele, 21 Savage, J. Cole, Dua Lipa, and more. But while Wayne was once the self-proclaimed best rapper alive, and in my opinion, definitely deserved that title at one point, in 2025, even though his old catalog is still racking up hundreds of millions of streams, his newer work over the last 5 years has left little to no impact, to say the least. His latest release, The Fix Before the Six, which was a precursor to his upcoming project, The Carter Six, sold less than 20,000 copies in the first week, a far stretch from The Carter Five, which sold over 400,000 copies in the first week. And it received horrible reviews from both fans and critics, with one reviewer saying that Wayne's catalog includes some of the most incredible music to ever grace the rap genre, but with this new album, The Fix Before the Six, if it's any indication of where he's going next, it might usher in the sad realization that the days when Lil Wayne could proudly proclaim himself the best rapper alive are behind him. And it wasn't like this was Wayne's first project in years and maybe he was a little rusty, just playing catch up. Wayne has been more active than ever, all while entering the third decade of his career. He's given us 7 projects in the last 5 years. He's still touring, he's still doing festivals. I actually even saw him, and our city has a curfew at 11 o'clock. He was supposed to come on at 10. He came on at 10:45. So thank you, Weezy, for making me spend $200 on a 15-minute performance. But I say all this to say, Wayne has been busy. He hasn't left the booth. He's been bodying features. He's been giving us bloated bodies of work. And while the quantity of output hasn't decreased and his skills as a rapper are most definitely as present as ever, he's failed to deliver music that has left any sort of real lasting impact since, if you want to be generous, at the very earliest, 2018. Meanwhile, his counterparts, or even older rappers than him, like Nas, Eminem, or Kanye West, are all still putting out successful projects, and you gotta remember at the same time, Wayne started off his career at the extreme young age of 12 years old. He's only 42 right now. The Mount Rushmore of the 2010s, Kendrick, J. Cole, Drake, and Future, are not that much younger than him, with Drake being 38, J. Cole being 40, Future being 41, and Kendrick being 37. They're still dropping consistent hits and blockbuster projects, while Wayne is dropping more music than them, but failing to see anything stick. So with this year's Super Bowl halftime show being in New Orleans, while it made sense to honor a legend like Lil Wayne in his hometown, the logic of choosing an artist with very little memorable music in the last few years didn't necessarily seem like the most logical choice when you stack him up against Kendrick Lamar. But because it was in his hometown and Lil Wayne is so involved with the NFL, he was really gunning for that position. Months before the Super Bowl, he did interviews stating that it would be a dream for him to be able to perform at the 2025 halftime show in New Orleans.
Of course, the Super Bowl is in New Orleans, is in 2025 or something like that.
He's doing it.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Come on, man. Say
I'm
it,
not
Wayne.
sure what shit. No, I don't. They know. I will not lie to you. I have not got a call.
Hey, Jay,
like
when I'm camera folk, Jay.
But we all praying. We praying. We keeping our fingers crossed. I'm working hard. I'm gonna make sure this next album and everything I do is killer. I want to just make it hard for them not to holler at the boy.
Let's think about this for a second. Lil Wayne, headline Super Bowl in New Orleans. How badly do you want to hear those words?
Just as bad as I want to see my name at the top of that list when I was that whatever age it was, and I would bust into the office and get that Billboard magazine. So you perform for the what? Going to a Super Bowl before and watching the halftime show.
It's nothing like it.
And wishing, like when you see the artist, you be like, I know they could have sung the song that I was featured on. I'm featured on everybody's song. You could have brought me out.
Could have brought me out.
And that he would do the show all by himself, no surprise guests, strictly a Lil Wayne performance.
What makes your halftime show so special?
Please do not feel disrespected if you are an artist from New Orleans, an artist tied to me in any kind of way in the music. But no, that's my moment. And I earned that moment. So no, I am not bringing you one. I'm talking. I'm singing.
And you shouldn't.
I'm singing all the hooks that you made, you wrote. I'm singing them. Bobby Valentino, all y'all. I'm singing them. Sorry. I am so sorry.
Now, these interviews were all conducted while Kendrick Lamar was still on his Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers tour. We hadn't heard much music from him other than the odd feature or his collaboration, The Hillbillies with Baby Keem. But the second Kendrick popped out and said, F the big three, it's just Big Me, it made all the sense in the world to put him on that stage and put hip-hop at the forefront of the biggest event in America. But remember now, it was Wayne's dream to perform on that stage. He had stated very clearly that he was going to work as hard as he could to make it undeniable for them to pick him as the Super Bowl headliner. So when Kendrick rapped,
bumped the Carter 3, I held my rolling chain proud. I think my hard work let Lil Wayne down.
He wasn't just stating that his hard work of stomping on Wayne's protege Drake's grave disappointed Wayne. He was clearly telling Weezy that your hard work was no match for my hard work.
Plenty artists, but they outdated. Old flows trying to convince me that you they favorite.
Now, Wayne obviously picked a side in the whole Drake versus Kendrick because he was on stage performing his collab with Drake, The Motto, and started singing, "They don't like us, they don't like us." So for Wayne to see his protege Drake's nemesis, Kendrick, become the first solo rapper to headline the Super Bowl in Wayne's hometown, the show that he dreamt of getting, obviously it hurt. He went on Instagram Live days after the announcement to let the world know that it's been really rough dealing with the fact that all the hard work he's been putting in, the 7 projects we've got from Wayne in the last 7 years, were not good enough to make it onto that stage.
That hurt. Hurt a lot. You know what I'm talking about? It hurt a whole lot. I blame myself for not being mentally prepared for a letdown. And for just automatically mentally putting myself in that position like somebody told me that was my position. It made me feel like not getting this opportunity. And when I felt like you guys reminded me that I ain't without y'all. And that's an amazing reality.
And it wasn't just Wayne that was sad that he wasn't performing over Kendrick. It seemed like the entire industry had kind of been taken aback. You had everyone from Bad Baby saying it's honestly sad Lil Wayne isn't performing at the Super Bowl. He is the culture. He paved the way, especially in New Orleans. To female rappers with a little bit more respect, like Nicki Minaj saying, denying a young black man what he rightfully put into the game for no other reason but your ego. Your hatred for Birdman, Drake, and Nicki got you punishing Lil Wayne? Lil Wayne, the GOAT? Noya, what's good? Eminem stood firm on having 50 Cent come out, a white man. That stuff is sad. That was a shot at Jay-Z, but she continued saying, and by the way, you don't know the half of what Lil Wayne has done for me and others. Wayne had Drake and I on his tour without no papers signed. He was on all my mixtapes without no papers signed. This man has literally changed the face of hip-hop, the hair too. If you know, you know. He inspired so many to tat their faces and get dreadlocks, inspired your favorites to want to be great MCs. He never was in this for the money. It's always been for the love of music. Birdman did his hand rub and tweeted out, these guys are kitty cats. At Nicki Minaj, at Drake, at Lil Wayne, YMCMB. I'm gonna make these guys respect us on Gladys. Brrr. Cameron was questioning why Lil Wayne wasn't chosen for the Super Bowl.
Hate this election. Lil Wayne not to be performing in New Orleans for the Super Bowl is egregious. All the songs Lil Wayne's done, whether it's Blink 182, there's no reason why Lil Wayne should not be performing in the Super Bowl.
Also speculating that it probably had something to do with Jay-Z either not messing with either Wayne or Drake.
There's one person who's stopping this. It's not really a secret. Lil Wayne had a problem with somebody before who's kind of part of the organization running it. This is payback. Who's Lil Wayne artist? Drake.
Hating at this age is crazy.
It's crazy, bro.
Ocho Cinco said you have to have Lil Wayne doing the Super Bowl if it's in New Orleans, saying that you can make the case for him being the greatest rapper ever. The VMAs were going down that weekend, and this is what a couple artists had to say about who deserved the halftime performance.
Top show this year if you could choose.
If I could choose, I would definitely go Lil Wayne, Drake, Nicki Minaj. Yeah, I'm 23, so that's my era.
I mean, I do feel like Lil Wayne should. I mean, from New Orleans. I don't know what kind of
political stuff is going on behind the scenes?
Me? I'm bringing out everybody from New Orleans. I mean, I would have had Kendrick on the stage, out of Wayne. Hopefully something like that happens.
Well, they talk about Lil Wayne should have been there because it's New Orleans, so maybe Kendrick could call him and do something. But I like to see Master P even get involved with it.
I think they made a good choice, if I'm being honest. But eventually I would pick myself. You know what I'm saying?
DDG said that it was dumb for them to not choose Wayne.
He would have brought us Nicki Minaj. He would have brought us so many different artists that he can bring out that he didn't put on. I did a few shows of Lil Wayne, and his shows is great. He got access to like Drake. That's the biggest artist in the world. You getting multiple performances in one. I feel like it was dumb for the Super Bowl to do that. It's gonna be a great show regardless, but I think just our principle, it should have been Lil Wayne.
Drake shared a bunch of pictures on his Instagram of Wayne that night. So did Travis. G Herbo said it would have been a no-brainer to have Wayne there and said they dropped the ball with that decision.
I don't really feel like it's an easy decision to make, because if it was an easy decision to make, I feel like it would have been a no-brainer. It would have been Wayne. You know what I'm saying?
Jermaine Dupri said he feels like Wayne was robbed of the Super Bowl performance. Wayne's fellow hot boy Juvenile said that Wayne deserved it.
So everybody want me to speak on this Super Bowl situation. Look, I'm mad about the situation just like y'all, man, but you know, my hatred is toward the NFL, you know, not really the people that booked the halftime show. I'm mad at the people that hired that booked the halftime show. I feel like y'all should step in. Y'all done threw 11 Super Bowls in New Orleans, man. Y'all have yet to put a hip hop artist from New Orleans on the damn Super Bowl. Sure, y'all have put artists on the Super Bowl back in the days, Al Hurt, and the list goes on. Not too many. You know, I feel like every time y'all come here, y'all should have somebody from our city on it. But this time it really hit hard when you don't have Lil Wayne on the show. I don't see how y'all don't have Lil Wayne doing a halftime show. Somebody that has a whole bunch of hits and somebody that really deserves it and somebody that can bring out multiple artists of all genres.
Fellow New Orleans legend Master P said, salute to Kendrick for performing at the halftime show. Well deserved. He's one of the hottest artists in the world and has one of the best songs right now. But as ambassador of entertainment in the city of New Orleans, I have to agree with the fans that Lil Wayne should be a part of this celebration as well. He's one of the greatest hip-hop artists alive, still relevant, and he's a New Orleans native. Let's not miss this cultural moment in the South. Life is too short. We have to give our legends their flowers while they're here. Odell Beckham Jr. said, how Wayne isn't performing for the biddy blows my mind. And a couple of months later, Wayne did get the opportunity to receive his flowers in his hometown at his own Louisiana Fest, where he reunited with the Hot Boys and got a key to the city of New Orleans. But even months later, he still took the opportunity to talk about how the Super Bowl halftime show was robbed from him.
During my lifetime, the first Super Bowl was here. I made sure I bought tickets at the beginning of the season. I was able to make my mama that sweet. She was able to bring her family, and we had a ball. That moment I said to myself, I want to be on stage for the Super Bowl one day for my mama. And I worked my ass off to get that position, and it was ripped away from me.
But then Kendrick releases GNX, where he tells us that he deserves it all. And on that same project is where we got the bars. I used to bump the Carter 3, wore my Rolly chain proud. Irony, I think my hard work let Lil Wayne down. And we know that Kendrick was a massive Lil Wayne fan. Lil Wayne was a huge inspiration to Kendrick. On the come up, he gave J-Rock and Kendrick a feature in his prime fairly early on in both of their careers back in 2008. Kendrick said the work ethic he witnessed from Lil Wayne in the studio way back then inspired him to become the rapper he is today. Kendrick even dropped an entire mixtape dedicated to Lil Wayne, rapping over Wayne's beats, doing his best Lil Wayne impression. And when Wayne threatened retirement in 2015, Kendrick got drunk on Instagram Live and pleaded with Wayne to not leave the game.
You're talking about retiring and shit. Fuck that. Retire, quit, and rap, whatever you want to call it. Fuck that. No. 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 No.
So with all the love that Kendrick has shown Wayne, them even collaborating in the past, it seemed pretty obvious that that bar on Whacked Out Murals was just basically Kendrick saying Wayne was someone he looked up to, someone he got his work ethic from, but years later, all that hard work he put in, that derived from the work ethic that Wayne partially inspired, led him into the prestigious position of being the first solo rapper to headline the Super Bowl, which ironically let one of his biggest inspirations feel like Kendrick robbed him. And Wayne didn't take these bars kindly. A day after GNX released, Weezy tweeted out saying, "Man, what the F I do? I just be chilling and they still come for my head. Let's not take kindness for weakness. Let this giant sleep, I beg you all. No one really wants destruction, not even me, but I shall destroy if disturbed. I am not Drake, I'm a whole different beast. You wake this beast up, and your flesh I shall feast." Nah, he didn't say that last bar, but drop a like for my rhyme scheme, and let me know if you want to hear a Rapaholics Drake diss track. Maybe I'll be performing at the Super Bowl next year, who knows? And remember, the sponsor of today's video is that big fat juicy subscribe button, so go ahead and smash that. But anyways, back to Weezy. Apparently, it wasn't just his rap peers who felt bad for him not getting the Super Bowl halftime show. The Daily Mail reports that the NFL immediately sent a letter of apology to Lil Wayne after announcing that Kendrick Lamar had been chosen to perform at the show. Prior to the show, sports commentator Skip Bayless, who's also a good friend of Wayne, had expressed his anger that Wayne was snubbed for the New Orleans performance, while claiming that the NFL issued that apology to him way back in September after offering the show to Kendrick. He said, "The NFL immediately sent Wayne a letter of apology from nobody in particular, just from the league on NFL letterhead. A letter that thanked Wayne for his years of supporting the league, not just the Packers, his favorite team, but supporting and promoting the NFL in general, which he has. I mean, he makes weekly appearances on the NFL Sunday pregame show, NFL Game Day Morning on the NFL Network, but he will not play Sunday's halftime show, and he definitely won't watch a second of Sunday's halftime show. He will watch the game, just not the halftime show. Not 1 second." And Weezy actually sat down with Skip for an interview discussing why he felt like he wasn't chosen to perform, how he felt about Kendrick mentioning him on whacked out murals, if him and Kendrick spoke, and if he was looking forward to seeing Kendrick perform. As far as why Wayne thinks they didn't choose him, he didn't fully understand, but he said that he chalks it up to it being a decision that's way over his head. And while he himself thinks a Weezy Super Bowl halftime show would have been perfect, he's taken it as a humbling wake-up call to improve as an artist.
They're choosing not to ask you.
I give you my general answer and then I give you the personal answer. So generally, I just believe that, for whatever reason, I believe that it's over my head. I don't know why, period. Obviously, I believe that it's perfect, but I do not know why. But personally, the person I am, I straight look at it like, you ain't there, you gotta get there. You gotta get there. You know how we Skip, you know how we rock. You gotta have it.
Come on, man.
And it doesn't fully seem like Wayne understood that Kendrick in 2025 may have simply just been a better selection than Wayne himself, and chalks it up more so to politics that are out of his control, possibly similar to Nicki Minaj insinuating that Jay-Z may have had something to do with Wayne getting snubbed.
I mean, you're the GOAT, and it's New Orleans. It just makes no sense to me. I don't get it. Their politics played. I don't know.
That's another part of it. I think there's things that I can't control or involved in it, so it is what it is.
And Wayne says even though all this time has passed, he still feels extremely sensitive about the subject and he hasn't fully gotten over it. It's still messing with his head.
Are you better with it now than you were when it first hit?
No.
You seem better, because I know at first you were pretty torn up about it, as you should have been.
Talking to people that matter, talking to people that care about me, they telling me things that, telling me the truth, telling me the facts, and dealing with living, accepting the facts, embracing the facts, and moving on.
Okay.
And Wayne emphasized again that he's taking this as a learning experience and an opportunity to improve his craft. Because like I said before, right, he's given us a ton of projects over the last couple years, but none of them truly left an impact on the same level as a Kendrick Lamar or even a Drake, a J. Cole, a Future, a Travis Scott. Aside from Future, Wayne has put out more projects than any of these artists I just named, but even though he was once most definitely the best rapper alive, he hasn't been able to keep up on a commercial perspective with most of the best rappers today. And that's fine, because Wayne is definitely in the later half of his career. He's been rapping for 3 decades. But if this interview showed us anything aside from Wayne being a little petty that Kendrick got chosen over him, it showed us that he hasn't lost his hunger. The music might not be all the way there, but Wayne is determined to make himself undeniable.
You're saying you got to get better to earn the right to be on that stage?
This is what I told myself. I told Mac, I told Fabe, this is what I told him. I said, you know what?
Your managers, yeah.
So, I said, I want to get to the point where I'm undeniable. Yeah, I want them to
Yeah.
walk in there and have 10 other choices, and whoever's in charge say, no.
Okay,
no,
I love that.
you have to go
Yeah.
with him.
I thought you were undeniable right here, right now, but that's just
Thank
me.
you, Scott. Thank you.
Now, here's where it gets interesting though, right? Because Wayne never called Kendrick out by name after Kendrick rapped that his hard work let Lil Wayne down. He just sent an aggressive tweet out the day after JNX released, so the world believed that Wayne was talking directly to Kendrick, especially since Kendrick was on the heels of battling Wayne's protege Drake, and the world suspected that Kendrick was about to do Not Like Us on that Super Bowl stage that Wayne felt like he deserved. I mean, even in the trailer when Kendrick announced he'd be performing, he said, "There's only one opportunity to win a championship, no round twos," which, on a side note, is actually foreshadowing a lot of the imagery that we saw within his performance, because the whole thing was a game, right? That Kendrick had to win. The stage was set up like a PlayStation controller. Kendrick was advancing from level to level. You had Samuel L. Jackson acting as Uncle Sam, narrating the game. And before the camera panned to a bunch of lights that said game over, the last songs Kendrick did were his Drake diss Not Like Us and TV Off, where he established that the game was over and it was time to turn the TV off. No round twos. I just thought that was incredible foreshadowing within the trailer. It shows how calculated Kendrick is. But ultimately, Wayne is asked, like, you seem pretty pissed off when Kendrick mentioned you on Whacked Out Murals. What do you truly think his bars meant? Because, again, to most of the world, it really just seemed like Kendrick was saying, I used to idolize Wayne, and the irony is that I was able to get an opportunity he wanted based off the inspiration that he gave me. And Wayne, who had seemingly reacted in a tweet to these lyrics, had now told Skip Bayless that he never actually heard them to begin with.
Explain this part to me, because I don't know the backstory of this, but what Kendrick Lamar, what his lyrics were about you. What can you explain? I'll just quickly read them. I know you know them. I used to bump that Carter 3. Okay. I used to bump that Carter 3. I held my Rolly chain proud. Irony, I think my hard work let Lil Wayne down, from Kendrick Lamar.
I mean, look at his face. That is the look of pure confusion. That's how I imagine Drake looked when he heard Kendrick say, I want to do their favorite song, but I know he loves to sue on the Super Bowl stage. And ultimately, Wayne admits that this is his first time hearing these lyrics, but how can that be when he clearly reacted to them on Twitter, right?
From Kendrick Lamar. Let Lil Wayne down. And I don't really understand that. Help me out. What was that about?
That was my first time hearing it, but
And the clear answer is likely that Wayne and Kendrick had a conversation. Wayne asked him about these bars. Kendrick cleared the air and let Wayne know he didn't mean anything offensive behind it. Wayne emphasized this, saying that both of them are actually fans of each other, and he knew that choosing who was going to be the halftime performer wasn't in Kendrick's control. But I do gotta ask, even if it wasn't Kendrick's control, I don't think he would have said, nah, let Lil Wayne have this one, I'm gonna sit it out. I think he still would have done it. So the entitlement is definitely a little strange.
I think he's a fan, like I'm a fan of his music. Sure. He's a fan of mine.
Yeah.
I think
he's definitely a fan of yours.
Yeah, so I think he just mean by, he saw how much it meant to me. And I think that's all he mean. And, when we speak, and obviously he can't control that. And, so he didn't let me know. It ain't like he can control it or nothing.
I mean, even though Wayne claims it was his first time hearing these lyrics, he does a pretty good job at summarizing what Kendrick probably meant by them, emphasizing that the whole letting Lil Wayne down thing is that Kendrick understood how much this opportunity meant from Wayne, and he knew that Wayne was disappointed not to get it. I mean, the whole world knew, right? Like, Wayne let everyone know. I think this was the first time we've seen Wayne in such a vulnerable state.
Did he say anything to enlighten you about these lyrics about you? I think my hard work let Lil Wayne down.
No, he didn't have to do anything. There was no explanation that was needed for that. I think I understand. Again, that was my first time hearing it when you just said it.
Okay.
But I understand those words. Like I said, I think he just mean that he made it there, and his hard work is the reason why he made it there. Obviously,
I took
let
it
me down is me just being upset about not getting that. So that's fine.
And despite all the back and forth, despite, Kendrick destroying Wayne's protege Drake, Wayne admitted that he did actually speak to Kendrick and gave him some advice for how he should approach the halftime show.
And also, I've spoken to him and I wished him all the best and told him he better kill it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So you better kill it. You gotta kill it.
But even though Wayne did speak to Kendrick, he made it very clear that he'd be far out of town while Kendrick would touch the Super Bowl stage in his hometown. Similar to Drake, Wayne may not be an A minor in Australia, but like Skip had said, Wayne was definitely making it a point to skip the halftime show.
I told him you gotta smash it.
Well, he will smash it. I'm sure
yes,
he will.
of course he will.
So is there any way last second that you would be asked to make a little appearance with him on stage?
I'm not going to even be in the country.
Okay, all right. Okay, I appreciate that. I actually love that and endorse that. I think that would be exactly what you should do.
And that's where we get to just a few days before the Super Bowl, when Wayne hopped online with another video, but this time he wasn't crying. He let it be known that he won't be in New Orleans to catch the Super Bowl and that they're going to have to find someone to fill his seat for him. And that's going to play an important role in this story very shortly.
Y'all know I'm not going to be there this week, which means I guess there's a seat to fill.
Now, Wayne says, shout out to his city, but he's going to take a little bit of Kendrick's spotlight because he had a big announcement coming on February the 6th. And he does a little Birdman hand rub, which will also be symbolic and play an important role in the story in just a couple seconds.
Shout out to New Orleans, but I've been working on something very special. I got something exciting coming for you. Thursday, the 6th. Till then, I'm just chilling.
Now, many people thought that this big announcement from Wayne would be the fact that he was featured on the viral hit by LiAngelo Ball, Tweaker. And unfortunately, in my opinion, that was kind of an underwhelming verse and definitely would have been an underwhelming announcement if that was really his big reveal that he had to make a whole promo video for. But in the end, Wayne had something bigger to announce. Remember how he said that in New Orleans at the Super Bowl, there'd be a seat to fill, which kind of sounds a little entitled, but when you break it down, after knowing what this announcement was, it was actually a classic slick Wayne double entendre. So the announcement on the 6th starts off with Wayne being told that they took the Super Bowl halftime show in another direction.
Wayne, it's a different direction this time. But we have another focus.
And Wayne goes on to say,
Yo, pass me the seat of film. Let's go.
Now again, remember in that initial announcement, he said, I can't perform at the Super Bowl, so there's going to be a seat to fill. Now, he didn't just mean that there'd be a seat to fill in that stadium. He meant they're throwing some seat to fill in the mix. Slick wordplay to announce that he has a commercial coming up with the company Cetaphil or Cetaphil, however you want to pronounce it. On a side note, I actually used their face wash. It's pretty good. But then you get a couple skits with Wayne where he puts an emphasis on the word sensitive, because obviously Cetaphil is cream for sensitive skin, but we all know Wayne's reaction to not getting that halftime show was a little sensitive as well.
Dad, this is Mike.
Nice jersey.
Damn, that's sensitive.
Don't look at me.
Then you see Wayne in a couple other scenarios where he passes some people some Cetaphil or Cetaphil.
Let's see a kiss. Ooh, someone passed the Cetaphil. Nice assist.
And in one of the skits, he makes another double entendre emphasizing that the Super Bowl in the NFL left him high and dry, just like this dude in the club.
Thank you. Guys?
Dang, they left you high and dry.
Mostly dry, Wayne.
And the whole slogan of this commercial is, we're all a little sensitive. Again, emphasizing that Wayne was most definitely sensitive about Kendrick performing at this Super Bowl, but embodying Wayne's reputation as being a king with the wordplay and the puns, because obviously, again, Cetaphil's for sensitive skin.
We're all a little sensitive.
Then by the end of the commercial, you see Wayne in the booth, and this is where the big announcement's made. He emphasizes that he won't be at the Super Bowl because there's something a little more important that's time sensitive.
Hey, we still going?
Nah, this is time sensitive.
And then the door slams shut, and we see the big announcement, which is that the Carter 6, the 6th installment to Wayne's legendary classic album series, will be releasing on the 6th day of the 6th month of this year. And this is kind of like some wordplay in and of itself, because again, Wayne emphasized that he understood he wasn't picked to be the Super Bowl halftime performer because he needed to improve his craft. He needed to get better. He used it as motivation to make sure that his next body of work would be undeniable. His presence and influence in the game would be undeniable to the point where they had to go with him no matter what. So him saying like he's skipping out on this year's halftime show because he's got some time-sensitive issues to take care of, emphasizing that he's working on this next album, an album in a series that's super important to Wayne's catalog and to hip-hop in general, and that there's no time to waste. And for me personally, it's a little disheartening to see Wayne concoct a whole album rollout off the heels of the fact that he really reacted in this overdramatic, over-entitled fashion to not landing this performance that A, was never promised to him, and B, was granted to an artist who is much more influential than Wayne in 2025's hip-hop landscape. That's not to say that Wayne is if not much more influential than Kendrick in the grand scheme of things, but again, in 2025, could Wayne have made the statement Kendrick made during his performance? Could Wayne have completely redefined the standard for what we should expect on a Super Bowl stage by circumventing the hits, circumventing the nostalgia factor, and replacing it for strong storytelling, a thematic sequence, a calculated stage design, and an important emphasis and message on authenticity and playing the game of life or of hip-hop in your own way, the same way Kendrick did on that stage? And that's beyond even asking the question, could Wayne have kept up on Kendrick's level of breath control, remembering all his lyrics, switching up his voice, rapping these bar-heavy songs while running halfway across the stage, remembering to, replace all the curse words at the very minimum? Could Wayne have done all these things? When Kendrick was first announced, I did say that I would have loved to have seen a Wayne halftime performance because of all the different acts he could bring on, right? Aside from him, ushering in possibly the most commercially successful hip-hop record label of all time with Young Money, acts like Drake, Nicki Minaj, and Tyga, Wayne also has a massive catalog of features with some of the biggest artists in the game. He could have brought them out. He could have brought, obviously, all his Young Money artists out. He also has tons of mixtapes where he freestyles over some of the biggest records of all time, and in a lot of ways, he makes those beats his own. Like, imagine him bringing out Jay-Z and Rihanna to do his remix of Run This Town, or bringing out Adele to do his remix of her song Rolling in the Deep. Or beyond the guest appearances, Wayne has a ton of his own iconic anthemic songs. I mean, Kendrick didn't perform the hits, right? So who's to say Wayne couldn't have got up there and done his cult classics like The Sky's the Limit or A Milli? Or imagine him opening the show up with Born in New Orleans, Raised in New Orleans, I Will Forever Remain Faithful New Orleans, I Thank You New Orleans, I Thank You Holly Grove, That's Been My Hood Since a Snotty Nose. Like, there's definitely an argument to be made that Wayne could have put on an iconic performance for his own city. Like, the 2008 me would have been jumping on the walls seeing him bring out like Akon and T-Pain or Mr. Carter. Like, imagine him and Jay-Z did Mr. Carter on that Super Bowl stage. The thing is though, like, I don't think a performance like that would have been possible if Kendrick didn't break down this barrier that he did on Sunday night. There's a reason you've seen a lot of criticism online of Kendrick's performance. It's because middle-aged white Americans, the majority audience of the Super Bowl halftime show, probably didn't know most of these songs and might not be able to fully identify with them or the whole messaging of the performance in general. But there's a reason why it was the most viewed Super Bowl halftime show, if not of all time, then of recent memory. There's a reason why people are still talking about it days later, and whether you loved it or hate it, he made a statement. He put hip-hop first. He put the culture first on a massive stage like that, and he set a new precedent of what we could expect to see at halftime performances in the future. Like, hip-hop is now at the forefront of discussion, and it's not like 2018 where hip-hop was the most streamed or most consumed genre, but it was a bunch of melodic trap rap like Travis Scott, Future, Migos, etc. He put on a bar-focused lyrical showdown filled with competitive spirit, an emphasis on competition, an emphasis on rebellion, an emphasis on the division within America, and the ultimate message being play the game as authentically as possible. As Kendrick said, they tried to rig the game, but you can't fake influence. Could Wayne have came out and executed with a message that strong? And if he went the traditional route of, relying on nostalgia, would his older catalog have been strong enough to put on a compelling enough performance for that type of audience? Songs like A Milli or Lollipop or 6 Foot, 7 Foot, like, would that have been enough? Would that have properly resonated with the crowd? Like, Wayne is my GOAT, but I could be honest, I think he's like 10 years removed from his prime, and we got to call a spade a spade. That's not to say, though, that I'm not completely amped up to see what Lil Wayne's newfound hunger will bring him on the Carter 6. We've never really seen Wayne at a point in his career where he feels like he has something to prove. I mean, yes, he did call himself the best rapper alive way back in 2004. He initially said, I'm the best rapper alive since the best rapper retired, with that being Jay-Z. So he had big shoes to fill then, and definitely had a lot to show after 2004 if he wanted to be taken seriously as the best rapper alive. But we've never seen Wayne in this kind of underdog position like he is right now, being, snubbed for opportunities by guys who came way after him, who took a lot of influence from him. The only other time this kind of reminds me of is when he dropped his extremely lackluster album, I'm Not a Human Being 2, back in 2013, the same year or the same 12-month period that we saw, Good Kid, Mad City, Born Sinner, Nothing Was the Same, Magna Carta, Yeezus, all these amazing albums, and Wayne wasn't nominated for any VMAs, so he went on Twitter that year saying, damn, I just realized I wasn't nominated for any awards this year. It made me realize I gotta work harder, I gotta put out something better for you guys. And that newfound hunger was apparent because he was working really hard on the Carter 5 at that point, back in 2014. We heard some snippets, we heard some songs, they sounded amazing. If you don't remember, go check out songs like Believe Me, Douce, Senile. These are all songs that showcased a newfound hunger in Wayne to prove that, he hadn't fallen off. He was trying to dead those rumors. But then, the whole lawsuit between him, Birdman, Cash Money, and ironically UMG, similar to his protege Drake, that all went down, which stopped him from releasing the Carter 5. So when we got it back in 2018, there was already, a 5-year period where we hadn't really heard much from Wayne. The whole landscape of hip-hop had changed drastically from, 2014 when he first announced the Carter 3 to the Carter 5, till 2018 when he finally released it. But there was still a lot of quality on the Carter 5, and the success showcased that, it represented it. But you could tell if you've been following Wayne that he treats these Carter projects a lot differently than anything else, all these other little side quests he does. And that's kind of maybe why we haven't felt his impact or his presence as heavily since the Carter 5 than we did during the, Carter 3, Carter 4 eras. We've gotten tons of music from him. We got Funeral. We got No Ceilings 3 Part 1 and 2. We got his Collygrove collab with 2 Chainz. We got his Trust Fund Babies collab with Ricch the Kid. We got The Fix Before the 6. We got the repackaged version of Sorry for the Wait with a bunch of new songs. We got hundreds of features from Lil Wayne in the last 7 years. But since the last Carter album, I don't believe the same quality's been there. The song structure isn't as strong. He did put out a single to the Carter 6 years ago when he first announced it, featuring DMX and Swizz Beatz, which was incredible, honestly. Again, he treats these Carter albums with a higher standard. And I'm just hoping that Wayne understands at this point that while his dominance within the game is definitely missed, it's definitely not there, regardless of how much music he's put out. And there's a reason far beyond, politics as to why Lil Wayne didn't get that halftime show. He's one of the most influential rappers of all time, undoubtedly, right? Think about this entire generation. Everyone from the TDE camp to the Odd Future camp to obviously his own Young Money artists to all the mumble rappers like Lil Uzi, Playboi Carti, Young Thug, Future, Migos, all of them. Every single rapper has some piece of Lil Wayne within them. So you'd think with all these rappers being Wayne's son, with all of them embodying some portion of his sound, that this would be the perfect climate for him to dominate in. Plus the fact that, again, he's only 42. He's younger than an Eminem, a Nas, a Kanye, a Jay-Z. He's just a year older than Future, but Future's out here being nominated for Grammys. He put out 3 #1 albums last year. He had a #1 single, multiple top 10 hits. There's no reason why that can't be Wayne. So I'm really hoping that he locks in with a couple incredible producers who can really take the strong skill set that Wayne has as a rapper that he never lost. Technically, as a rapper, he's still a top-tier lyricist, but I can't really remember a memorable hook or a memorable hit that we've heard from Wayne in the last 7 years. I think he needs an A&R or an executive producer, someone who has the ear for that, like a Tyler the Creator, a Hit Boy, someone who can give Wayne the perfect instrumentals, the perfect palette to just spit bars over and then reconstruct those into hits, similar to how Swizz Beatz did with Wayne's hit Uproar, because that whole song was just Wayne kind of spitting front to back, and Swizz took the quotable parts of his verses and made them the hook. And that's the part you remember, the whole what the F though, where the love go, all that stuff. That was Swizz Beatz moving the verses and making them part of the hook. He needs an executive producer like that who can make sure the song structure's there, the cohesiveness of the project's there. I mean, the guy brought Drake into the game and said, we gonna be alright if we put Drake on every hook. Get Drake in the booth, get him to give you a couple hooks. You birthed this entire generation. Get Future, get Thug on a couple of these records. Not that you really need them to carry you, but you need some more memorable songs. An album filled with a bunch of strong verses isn't going to cut it if you really want to be a candidate for the next Super Bowl halftime show. But I say all that to say, I think Kendrick getting this opportunity did put a battery in Wayne's back to show us that he's still the best rapper alive. And what better opportunity to showcase that than with a new installment of the Classic Carter series. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think Wayne's kind of stretching this whole Super Bowl thing out, blowing it way out of proportion? Or does he have a right to feel slighted? Would you have rather have seen Wayne on that Super Bowl stage? Let me know in the comments. Let me know if you hit that juicy subscribe button, and I will catch you guys in the next one.